There's a story out there known as the brutal Harvard rat experiment. And in this experiment, they wanted to see how the power of hope affects the rat's ability to survive in a near-death experience. To test this, they set up the forced swimming environment that took the rat into a tube and it forced it to swim. It has no other options. They took both strong and weak rats into this experiment to see how long they could swim before giving up. After 15 minutes of swimming, the rats gave up. They had nothing to swim for. But in a separate trial, the rats were placed into the forced swimming environment just like before, but right before they give up and drown, they're rescued by the professors. They're dried off after, and then they rest for a few minutes before being placed right back into forced swimming. In this second round of forced swimming with the rats, they were able to swim for hours before giving up again. Instilling hope in the rat that the feeling of land was just around the corner gave them a reason to keep swimming. The feeling of land was right around the corner, and they just needed to swim to get there. Imagine you're on a train now, and it's packed with everyone you know. When you meet people, they appear on your train, but as they get into relationships, they leave, and everyone starts to leave your train or vanish as you lose sight of them. People come and go on your train, but you can't leave and get into a relationship. You have a lot of standards for the person you want to be loved by, and you've been hurt before. Your train car is full of people willing to reach out and be with you for every step of the way, and they tick a lot of your boxes you're looking for, but they're still missing something. So you sit down, you take off your coat, you stay in your train car, adding more and more people to your train. You're stuck between what you want and what you think you need. You want to leave your self-imposed prison, but you can't be hurt if you wait. You wait for the perfect box-ticking person. You sit there alone with your company, and you're safe from being hurt. I want to say the base of all this comes from hope. In my teenage years, I found that perfect feeling of love, where you feel that there's no way life can get better than this. You tell each other you love them, you get jobs, and you're at the same point in life, so it all just feels amazing. That love that you hope will never go away, but now you're left without it. One day you hope to find it again in someone else, but you never will. I find myself on my train now, and I don't know if I will ever get off of it, because I know the feeling of land, a feeling that will never come again the same way I remember it.
Passed out to Brook Road, I'm